Hey guys, it is MissSimReno. If you are returning to the channel, welcome back. And if you are brand new, I am very excited that you decided to join me here today for another speed build. And it is quite a long one today, but I am so very excited for it because this is probably my favorite build to date. And I say that as I'm working on another one that's probably going to be my favorite. So basically every new one's my favorite. We're just going to go with that. But this one was really, really fun. And I kind of stepped outside of my comfort zone a little bit in regards to the shape and some of the color choices, I think, at least for me. So you guys can kind of be the judge of that as well. But this is a farmhouse. At the time of recording this voiceover, I am not sure what I'm going to be calling it yet. I'm not sure what the title of this video is going to be because I am pre-recording a little bit here, but I really love this farmhouse so much. And my original intent with this, now bear with me as I walk through this, I wanted to try to make a huge base game only build. That was my goal. So you'll probably see me kind of filtering out to base game a couple of times as I construct the exterior, but I ended up not really being able to stick with that. And the only thing that wasn't base game, literally in the structure, I'm not talking about I don't know, because I don't decorate the backyard or anything until the end of the build, but I do all the landscaping and I actually create the structure itself, and everything is base game except for the tile, well, technically not tile, but the flooring that I used for the porches. So the flooring that I ended up using was from, I believe it was Outdoor Retreat, just because it looked weathered. Like, it looked like I thought an older farmhouse would look. So it's kind of like this weathered wood. It's a little bit more beaten up, and I thought it fit the vibe absolutely perfectly. So that is the only thing that is part of the structure that is not base game, but like everything else, like the windows and the sidings and technically the roof decorations that are chimneys and like the fencing, all of that is base game. So I was actually kind of surprised that I was able to make something that, in my opinion, actually looks pretty good considering it's mainly base game on the exterior. There are only a couple of styles that I feel like you can go for with using base game items, and somehow I ended up making this work. Even I think they're technically called spindles. Is that what they're called? But I really liked that kind of accent to the porches, and I thought it fit really, really nicely with kind of the vibe that I was going for. And as you can see, this build is pretty big. I think I'm building on a 30 by 40 lot. I'm in Brindleton Bay, and I know there's one lot that is 30 by 30, which, if you're thinking of base game, because I was trying to think of that, I think the only lot that we have that's close to that is like a 30 by 40 or a 30 by 20. So I think I moved it onto a 30 by 40 so it could be placed in like a base game world like Willow Creek or something like that. So I'm thinking out loud here, if you do only have base game and you wanted to download this home, I believe everything will be there except for the interior. And now that's kind of nice because if you did want to, I don't know, play with this home and kind of furnish it yourself, it would work out perfectly because none of the furniture would be there. Or what happens, maybe sometimes, I'm not quite sure because I haven't played around with this too much, but I believe if you download a build as well and you don't have particular items from certain packs, it also might automatically replace them with equivalents that you have in your game. Now, I don't know how it deems equivalents in particular like categories and stuff, but anyway, my thought is that if you did want to play with this and you just wanted the shell because it is mostly all base game, you could download this build and just everything else won't show up, which would actually kind of work out okay. If any of you guys are in that boat and you do end up doing that, definitely let me know because I just haven't tried it myself. And I know that there's a way to disable packs. I just end up filtering out to base game or whatever packs I'm restricting myself to. But there is a way to disable packs as well that I haven't played around with that might be able to give me the ability to test it. I'm just not quite sure. But as you can see, I'm working on the landscaping now, which I thought turned out really, really nice. There's a healthy mix of plants and flowers, and they're all, well, mainly all debug. I wanted to use base game debug just to make sure that the landscaping didn't look too dull or anything like that, because there are plenty of flowers and shrubs and stuff like that that we got with other packs that would probably be really, really beautiful in landscaping a lot like this. But again, I was kind of thinking that it was going to be base game friendly until I got inside. I just couldn't do it, you guys. Like, I tried so freaking hard. I really did. I actually spent a lot of time off camera trying to think of interior design with the base game items that we have for a build like this, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't resist using all of the other packs that I have, so I'm so sorry. I'm going to really try to do a bigger base game build at some point, but this is not it, so I do apologize. Anyway, the landscaping is pretty much coming together. I'm just adding a couple of decorative stones here around all of the landscaping. And this is probably one of my bigger homes, I think, like I've mentioned. And I think it ends up being 3 bedrooms and like 3 or 4 bathrooms, something like that. There are, I believe, 3 kids and 2 parents is what I ended up designing it for. I think one of the kids is actually a teenager, so they have a teenager and 2 kids is what I was thinking. And now I'm fencing in the yard, so these are all debug base game items as well, just like the broken fence pieces with the, I don't know, still standing fence pieces is kind of what I mixed it with, because I was thinking it was an older farmhouse and maybe they just didn't replace the fence, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think it looks great, adds some character in my opinion. And I don't know, it came together just so nicely, and they actually have a decent sized backyard, which was kind of what I was striving for. With a lot this big, by the way, I've actually been getting some questions about this, and maybe this is a good time to talk about it before we move to the interior, which is probably coming really soon. But I have been getting a lot of questions about like how long this stuff takes. So I try to do smaller builds more often than not, just because when I do have the time to spare, I like to be able to kind of build ahead. I do work full time. This is not my job by any means. So I do have to kind of divvy up my time in a way that works for me so I don't get like burnt out and that I can focus obviously on my job. But yeah, like this build I think took around 6 to 6.5 hours, and it ended up being like a 37-minute video or something like that, including the screenshots at the end. So it took a really long time to do this build, and I think that is also because I am very detailed with my builds. Like I clutter them up insanely. You guys know this if you've been here for a while. And the landscaping, the way in which I layer things and kind of bulk things up, that takes a long time too. Like the exterior of this build took a really long time. I think it took me maybe 3 or 4 sessions, I suppose. And when I say sessions, I mean like jumping in and out of the game. So I don't know, maybe like a couple hours to get the actual structure, and then it took like another hour or 2 to get the landscaping. Like I don't even know, but it took a long time. And then the interior took a fair amount of time just because I like to add very small details to the interior of my builds because I think it adds a lot of character. But yeah, it takes a really long time for this stuff. I mean, I try to upload at least 3 times a week. I try to keep to the schedule, which I'm so shocked. Like I set this schedule maybe a couple of months ago, maybe about a month or 2 ago. I'm not quite sure. I've mentioned this numerous times, but time is basically an enigma at this point since, you know, I'm inside more often than not, working remotely and not really branching out too much into the world because of, you know, the current situation. But yeah, I think that all in all, this took a really long time. It was like 6.5 hours of building. To edit, it wasn't too bad. I clipped a few things back, but it maybe took like a half hour to an hour in regards to editing. And then it took another 37 minutes, if not more, depending on how many takes this takes. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't often do voiceovers in one take. It usually takes like 2 or 3 because I mess something up like right in the beginning, or, you know, like my stomach makes a crazy noise because we're all human here. But yeah, I think collectively this probably took 8 to 10 hours just to kind of compile everything and have it ready to be exported from the program that I use to edit. And then exporting it probably is going to take like an hour to an hour and a half, and then it's going to take like an hour to an hour and a half to upload it to YouTube. So as you can see, this is like a 12 to 14 hour process, if my math is even correct. I'm really bad at math, so please don't laugh at me. But yeah, it takes a really long time. So long videos like this, they are, or should I say can be, like really taxing. And there are some incredible builders out here on YouTube who mainly do like 30 by 40s, or bless them, do 50 by 50s or something like that, and they'll do them regularly, or they use the debug menu heavily and they come up with these incredibly creative ideas, and I can't even imagine how long that takes. So I don't know if that helps anyone, just because I've been getting questions about it. Like, it takes a lot of time dedication. So, for me, when I have to work a full-time job, which is, at least 40 hours a week, and I've mentioned this before, but I also teach college classes on top of my job. So I don't know, it's just really hard to get bigger builds like this out. So I'm really, really excited about this one. And I hope that insight just kind of helps too, because I really, really want to focus on, if I'm doing a bigger build, like I want it to be good. I want it to be something that I really, really love and something that I think you guys will like. And I don't want to skimp on the details and the clutter that I absolutely love including in my builds, because I feel like I'm restricted on time or something. And I don't really know why I went on that rant like that. It's not a complaint at all. Like, I love doing this, and being able to do a bigger build like this was so much freaking fun. And I was honestly kind of proud of myself and a little bit impressed with what I was able to do. So yeah, all in all, I just hope you like it. And if that insight into like how much time it takes for stuff like this helps you, like if you're thinking about becoming a content creator or doing bigger builds like this or whatever the case may be, just be able to manage your time. I think if I were to offer any advice that no one asked for, just think of yourself too. Like, don't get burnt out, because we all get burnt out. If you think that your favorite content creator like never encounters, like creativity block, like builder's block, or never ever gets burnt out from just constantly building or like using the same items or whatever the case may be, I can pretty much promise they do. I mean, I know I definitely do, but I will stop rambling about that. It's not that important right now. I'm really excited to talk about this build. So as you can see, I just finished up the living room, and that is the main living space. And I loved the color combinations that I ended up using. I carried the orangish wood tones from the exterior onto the interior. I always feel impulse to do that. It may not always be realistic, but considering you can see the wood tones from the windows on the interior of builds, it almost just makes sense to me to do it, because otherwise everything feels disconnected. And I don't know if others feel that way, but I definitely do. And here I am working on the downstairs bathroom, which is a full bathroom. There is just a tub down here though with a toilet, whereas upstairs there's a few different combinations. And now I'm working on this little area, which was a little bit challenging when I first divvied up the floor plan. But what I decided on was that this would be the dining area. It's a little awkward just because it's kind of in the center of everything. Like, you have to go through the dining space to get anywhere else in the house from the entryway, but I still really liked it because it wasn't too cramped. It didn't feel too enclosed, or I don't know, it was just very open, and I liked that about it, and I thought it worked so nicely with having that fireplace in the corner. You guys will probably notice when I kind of check around into the other rooms, there are the top corners of the fireplace that do clip into the other rooms, but it's not significant enough for me to be like annoyed by it. And I didn't pull the fireplace out because I thought it was just such a nice touch to a home like this. And hopefully it doesn't bother you guys, but now I'm taking these shelves from Jungle Adventure and just cluttering them up with a few items. This took a little while because I was gravitating towards a bunch of kitchen items, but I was thinking that it should be kind of a mix of kitchen slash miscellaneous like display items, because it's not in the kitchen, like it's actually in the dining room. So I thought it should be a little bit prettier, I suppose, compared to functional. So I do stack a couple of books there. There's a little cat statue because I was thinking that maybe this family had like a cat or dog, and yet the more I think about that, I don't think I included like a litter box or anything. So clearly I already missed something now that I'm watching the footage back, but yeah, I thought it was just a nice little change of pace to have that shelf there. Then I put a piece of artwork here and just a console table. I actually fought the impulse to overclutter this space because it was so open. Like, I'm not used to having such open spaces in my builds, hence why my builds are usually a little bit smaller because I can cram so much into them. But I kind of fought the impulse, so I just decorated this console table here with a couple of clutter items, including some flowers. And while I was doing that, while I was searching for items that maybe I haven't used in some time, I pulled out some things for the kitchen that I was going to be excited to use and that I didn't want to go searching for again, to be frank, in the catalog. That's actually a question I have for you guys. Do you think the catalog is easy to use? That's my question, because I have noticed that since the Tiny Living Stuff Pack came out, it has been I don't know, it has become increasingly hard for me to find particular items that I'm looking for. Like, I can't figure out what the difference is sometimes between a wall decoration and artwork. And sometimes there are just miscellaneous decorations that I would technically consider sculptures in that decoration category. I don't know, it just seems really awkward, and sometimes it's a little frustrating to find something. So I'm kind of hoping that it's not just me thinking that. I'm hoping I'm not crazy. Is that something that you guys have been experiencing too? If so, if it's something that's more widespread, and if it is something that you guys are feeling, I would hope that, others, if they were feeling the same way, would kind of speak up a little bit. It is something I think we actually need from EA and like an update or something. I think we do need a little bit of an overhaul with the build and buy category. They did it a little bit when we did get like the ceiling decorations category, and they put like the fans and stuff in there. That was actually really helpful. So I think maybe we're overdue for another one, but I don't know. I'm curious to hear what you guys think. And now I'm working on the entryway, which is really small for a home like this, but I didn't want it to be over cluttered either. So I did just have this little kind of like coat storage thing that we got with Laundry Day. I thought the wood tones worked perfectly with what I was going for. And it's kind of sort of like a mudroom, though I don't know how you technically categorize a mudroom. Does a mudroom, well, first off, is that just like a US thing? I have no clue, to be frank. But second, I feel like most of them have like sliding doors, and I think they have access to the outside. And it's typically where people will store like jackets and shoes and stuff like that. And there will be a place to at least sit down and kind of put different shoes on, or like your boots or something. I feel like they're super useful in maybe the summer and like the winter. I'm thinking summer, spring, maybe there's like a lot of rain. So you like take your rain boots off before you get in the house. And in winter, of course, with snow and everything, you don't want to be tracking mud and like snow through the house. So I don't know. Are you familiar with the concept of mudrooms? Is that something that's like super common in the US or other countries? I would be really curious to know, because I actually haven't researched that. But now we are into the kitchen, and I did go with these more so industrial looking counters and cabinets, which I adore. I love them so very much, and I thought it was perfect for this build considering it is an older farmhouse. I didn't think any of the other base game ones really worked, and I was gravitating towards the Jungle Adventure counters, but I used them, I think, very, very often. So I thought that this was really nice, kind of a nice change of pace, even though it wasn't for like an industrial build, because that's typically when I use these countertops. And I also merged one of the base game sinks in there, which I really, really liked, because the only other farmer's sink that we do have was actually from Parenthood, but that really didn't fit the vibe I was going for, so I thought that was kind of a nice substitute. I did put that counter there, and it kind of merged into the fridge. When I was playtesting, it did indeed block my Sim's ability to use the fridge, so just know that when this is uploaded to the gallery, that should be removed. If for any reason I failed to remove it, just know that that is what the issue is. Again, I apologize. Sometimes I do miss some of these details, like if I don't tend to it immediately, I will completely forget, so I am so sorry. But now I am decorating this little shelf just above the sink here, and I add, a couple more clutter items. They do have a microwave, and then I put the cookbooks on top of it. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I haven't done it in some time, so it was actually kind of nice to do that again. And now I just went into the entryway, added another wall decoration, and returned to the kitchen to wrap things up here. They do have that nice little island/bar that's attached to the counters, so it's kind of a more informal place to maybe have coffee or read the paper. Read the paper as if we have the paper in The Sims 4. We don't, which is sad, but it's kind of a nice place to have coffee and maybe have breakfast informally. I'm thinking maybe the kids spend a lot of time eating kind of at that island there. And then, for maybe full family meals, they go in the dining room. They also have those industrial, more so rustic looking china cabinets. They also have their pots and pans on the wall, which actually I thought was really nice. Typically I will hang them off of like some countertops or something like that, so it was actually kind of nice to put them on the wall. It was a little bit different. They also have a couple of crates stacked in the corner because I feel as though they go to like farmers markets and stuff like that. I'm not really sure. I didn't really give them a garden space per se either, though the sunroom, I haven't even talked about the sunroom because we're not there yet, but it ends up being like a gardener's paradise, so I'm excited to show that to you guys too. And I wanted to toss a plant in the corner here, but I didn't really know what else to put on the wall, so I actually ended up putting one of the benches that came with cats and dogs. The wood tone didn't really match the other wood tones that I had going on, but I think it works, so I'm excited to hear what you guys think of that. I'm not quite sure if it worked. And you've probably noticed too that I've been plopping out a couple of these fish decorations, like these mounted fish, because I was thinking that someone in the family, I'm not really sure who, but someone in the family is an avid fisher and they like to mount their most prized catches all over the house. I'm not sure if it's mom or dad or even the teenage son. It could be anyone. It doesn't really matter. But I'm just adding some finishing touches to the kitchen space, and then I move on to the sunroom, which I was so in love with. I've seen some other folks make sunrooms and then just make them into like a little flower arranging space or like a gardening space or something like that, kind of like an extension to the house that's an indoor greenhouse. And even though this isn't really an indoor greenhouse, I did add some of those gardening decorations and shelves, as well as that sink from Eco Lifestyle. And I gave this family the flower arranging station. And then what I do is I stack a ton of the gardening pots over in the corner here. Granted, your Sims won't be able to grow anything in them while they are stacked, but I did really like the look because it shows that maybe they're gearing up for a new season and they get to go ahead and plant their garden, something that they look forward to every single year. And I loved that idea so much. I even put a couple of decorative plants in the pots and around the pots themselves, which it was a really nice touch. And there's even that nice little wicker bench from, I believe the movie Hangout Stuff is where that's from. And I thought that that was kind of nice. And near the end, I actually do a kids creativity table there too, so they can hang out with whomever is doing all the flower arranging. And now we're on to the second story. And this floor plan is, I would say, a little odd. I have been doing this a lot lately where I have made these little kind of connecting hallways so all of the rooms aren't actually attached to one another, which I think is a little bit more realistic, though it does take up a decent amount of space more often than not. So as you can see, it's that part kind of right in the middle there. So there is this little hallway that gives you access to the bedroom in the back, the master bedroom, and I think one of the bathrooms or something, or maybe it's only the 2 bedrooms. I can't quite recall. I was also trying to make another bathroom here, but it created this awkward, like, long, skinny square space that only led me to ideas that would block the windows. So I ended up getting rid of that room there and just leaving it as this big open landing area, which again, I don't really strive to do because it does limit the amount of rooms I can put upstairs, but I ended up just being okay with it, and I work on the parents' bedroom first. I use this bed that is from base game and unlocked from, I believe, the painting career. I think it is because it has a couple of swatches. One is yellow with like sunflowers, and the other is, I believe, Van Gogh's Starry Night painting, which I really like, but I thought the red swatch was perfect for kind of the color scheme that I had ended up going for in this home. And I just really like the bed frame. I think it's really pretty. It has some accents in the wood that we don't have in other beds and other assets. So I really liked it. I add a bathrobe here on the wall and then a little stool, just some miscellaneous items. Even though there was a particular color scheme I kind of went for, especially in the wood swatches, I really didn't have a solid color scheme for the entire home. So there are a lot of miscellaneous items, and I hope that it kind of pulls together for you guys, and I hope you like it. I really liked it, and I'm starting to become more comfortable with everything not always being so matchy-matchy, because I feel like that's not realistic. I probably mentioned it before as well. Even though I'm a crazy person about like the wood tones in my home matching and stuff like that, there are definitely like a collection of items even in my home that really don't match, but they kind of all go together. So I'm getting a little more comfortable doing that in The Sims as well. I feel like I'm like that in The Sims because I have control over it. So like, why would I intentionally mismatch things when I have the ability to match things perfectly? But I don't know, I've kind of gotten over it. But now I'm working on the landing space, and I tried so hard to make this a big open landing space where you could actually look down from the second story into the entryway, but for some reason, like, I can't get it to work. I know that essentially what happens is if the game doesn't identify that the space that you're trying to work with is not a room, like a defined room, the roof will continue to clip. And no matter what I did in sectioning it off, actually laying down like a new foundation to make it its own room and removing the floor, the roof would always clip, and I didn't know any other way to do it. I've done it before, but lately I just cannot get it to work, so I was a little disappointed, and I didn't really know what to do with that space, so I just added that bench and bookcase as you guys saw. And this is the family computer, and they also have a foosball table, which was kind of nice to add. I have only ever used that object maybe in like an arcade build or like a pub build before, so it's kind of nice to put it in a family home. And I think it's a little bit different than the Don't Wake the Llama table, which is the very first like all-inclusive family game that I gravitate towards when I'm trying to pick a family game if I have room for that. So it was kind of nice to include that here. And I used those base game doors that actually have like decorations on the back of them and on the front, whatever side you consider the back and the front, but like facing the hallway there's a design, and on the back there's like a hanging sweatshirt, which I love. I love those details so much. And basically I used one for the teenage boys room, and then I was thinking that the two kids were actually two daughters, so that is their room there with the flowers and everything. I did kind of go stereotypical with some of the decorations, which I hope you guys don't mind. Sometimes I do like to mix it up, but I went stereotypical in this build. And that was just the bathroom, another full bathroom that I ended up furnishing, which technically the parents don't have an ensuite bathroom. Oh wait, they do. It's the one I just decorated, right? Duh. Yeah, they have an ensuite bathroom. It's the full bathroom. But there is also, I think, another bathroom up here too for the kids. If not, they might only have two bathrooms. I really can't tell. I think the screenshots are probably going to tell me more than me watching the footage back, because I've been trying the thing where I go back and forth between like not saving bathrooms for last. I try to do like a bedroom, a bathroom, and then a bedroom again, so it's not boring. So sometimes I kind of lose track. But here is this little hallway that is completely cluttered and a little chaotic, because I feel like upstairs is where the kids are allowed to like really spread their stuff out and like kind of leave some junk everywhere. And the parents are just like, whatever, at least they're not destroying downstairs. So I don't know, that was kind of my logic. But here is the daughter's room. I wasn't thinking that they were twins or anything like that. Maybe one is actually a little bit older than the other, but they are still decently young children. And I used these beds from the Tiny Living stuff, as well as these base game curtains. I thought the color scheme actually worked out kind of okay. At first I didn't really have an idea for a color scheme, but I figured that the yellow in the walls, the orange wood, which kind of worked with the orange and the curtains, and then the purple and pink and the blue. I mean, I could really do whatever I really wanted in this room. It really didn't have to match, but I think a lot of things kind of went with the color scheme. So I ended up using this base game dresser. I've been saying base game a lot, actually. There's a lot of base game in this. I'm kind of impressed with myself. And I didn't go too far into their hobbies per se. I was just thinking maybe one of them was a little bit more sporty than the other. But again, no real distinct hobbies. I really just picked like random posters and clutter items and stuff to just add some personality to their room, but not really call it out to any specific sim. I also really liked putting this rocking chair in here with a teddy bear on it. I sized up one of the knitted teddy bears that your Sims can make and placed it. Of course, you'd have to remove it if you wanted your Sims to sit on the rocking chair, but I was thinking that that was like a remnant from when they were younger and their mom would sit on the rocking chair and like read them stories. And now they just keep it in their room, because I had a rocking chair like that. It was actually a lot smaller. My mom wouldn't sit in it. It was literally a kid's rocking chair. But she still has it, and I used to love it. I didn't have it in my room, but we kept it like in the living room for years. Like, I was in high school still trying to sit in this thing because I just loved it so much. So goes to show. But that was kind of the idea for that. They also have a little costume trunk and that cardboard dollhouse, and just some more artwork and posters and fun things that I think really fit a kid's room. I think kids' rooms are probably my favorite to decorate because they just don't have to make sense. They can be crazy, they can be over cluttered, and it doesn't look, I don't know, it doesn't look bad, and it doesn't give me as much anxiety. Like, I'm not gonna lie, when I clutter up the main portions of a home like too much, I think like the witchy apartment, I did an apartment renovation. It was like a witchy bookworm apartment, and someone was like, this gives me anxiety, and I literally laughed so much because it also gave me anxiety. Even as I was doing it, I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. If I ever wanted to find a book, first off, I can't. Second, if I had to live amongst this, like, I would go insane. But I loved it in The Sims, so it kind of worked. That really makes me laugh. Yeah, it would honestly give me so much anxiety. But kids' rooms, I feel like, can be like that, and they look put together, like they look authentic. I'm not really sure. But this is the teenage son's room. His room is a lot smaller than his sister's, but that's because there's two of them. And I was thinking that he actually really liked it. Maybe this wasn't originally a bedroom too. Like maybe he actually convinced his parents to like clear this room out. Maybe it was an office. Maybe they moved the computer. Ooh, maybe they moved the computer into that little landing space instead. And they were like, fine, you can have the office as your bedroom, because he was maybe sharing with his sisters, or he just really wanted his own space and he really doesn't care that it's tinier. He doesn't care that all of his stuff is crammed in there. He's just so happy that he doesn't have to share a room with his younger sisters as a teenage boy. And he has this big stereo here because I was thinking he was really into music, and he does end up having a guitar, and he's got like some CDs up there, and then just some posters that seem music related, a lot of them from Get Together or Discover University, which was really, really nice. I also use that mirror with the post-it notes because maybe he forgets like a lot of his homework assignments or like appointments or practices for any sports that he plays or whatever. I'm not really sure. But yeah, he kind of has a bluish gray color scheme in his room. I tend to gravitate towards that color scheme for teenage boys, and maybe I should kind of think of some other ones, because they don't have to be like dark and dingy. I don't know why I end up gravitating towards that. I gotta fix myself. But here I am working on the porch, and I put 4 rocking chairs out front because it is like this big old grand farmhouse. And there is also a painting easel, so maybe someone likes to paint. There's a small seating area on the back porch, but I didn't really clutter up the porch too much because I wanted to focus on the backyard, where I had this debug pond that I pulled out, which works beautifully. I love doing that and grabbing those from the debug menu. There are different ones too, like there's some that will produce like rare fish or common fish or super rare fish or whatever the case may be. And I don't remember which one I put here, but it wasn't one of the desert ponds because I don't know, I just felt like that wasn't going to fit. I mean, this isn't a desert, obviously. I just don't know what fish are produced by that pond, so I kind of gravitated away from it. But I work on more landscaping to match what's around the rest of the home here, and I place it all around these trees, which I love having bigger backyards because you can actually have like a lot of trees and open space, and this seemed like the perfect build to do that. And then I also give them a swing set. I think they have some other activities outside as well. They do have a little outdoor dining section. I ended up kind of getting rid of a lot of this terrain paint because I feel like I kind of messed it up and we didn't need that much of it. But here's the swing set, and then I end up actually just putting it on grass because I just thought it looked a little bit nicer, a little bit more friendly. They also have the tub of water balloons, and here's their outdoor table, which I end up putting a little bit farther to the right on in their backyard here, kind of near that other porch, because that porch is actually where I ended up putting the grill, which seemed a little bit more convenient. They also have the grub boxes. They've got 2 of them, so they could have crickets, grubs, and something else, I don't know. And then I also add a sprinkler because they've got kids. I feel like they spend a lot of time outside too on this property. And then they also have a bee box and a bird feeder. And I do put a couple of gardening, what are they called? Pots. There we go. A couple of gardening pots on the other porch as well that has the grill, just so they have a few more things outside. And I also love that little birdhouse from Eco Lifestyle. I use it a lot now, so I had to make sure I used it here. And of course, you can't forget the outdoor lights, so if your Sims are outside at night doing any of these activities, it will not be in pitch black. I think it's very important, and I've been trying to be very cognizant of outdoor lights lately, but this is almost the end of the build. I hope you guys did enjoy this, and again, this could be base game friendly as like a shell, but I can't wait to hear your guys' thoughts, and I will catch you guys next time I post a video, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!
Across town, trying to get to you. I've been keeping my phone on no sound, facing you out, that's true. Now I get butterflies just thinking about your eyes, and that can't be all bad. Things came up, things went down. maybe turn back around. My spider sense screaming that I'm mad. A big storm blew up, a hurricane right in my coffee cup, carried me far, far away, and that's why I couldn't make it today to a coffee shop date. I must admit to some X-rated thoughts of what I'd like to do to you. So I guess I can see how bad it rhymes, playing you for a fool. So I pick up the phone, dial your number on the tone to set things straight. Things come up, things go down, make me turn back around. My spider sense screaming that I'm mad.